So welcome to Dr. Isaac's Dental Office. Today we are going to answer some of the most common questions we get from different patients that come in. I know a lot of you out there probably have a lot of questions about the different things, whether it be types of implants or accessories for the mouth or even billing questions and things like that. So today we thought we'd just take a few minutes to go over some of those things, and we've got the doctor here to get the exact answers right from the doctor. So here we go. We're going to start with different things that we would use to augment your mouth, whether if you're missing teeth or need to replace teeth. So there's a few different things. There's an RPD, which is a removable partial denture, and I've got one of those right here. And basically this is used to replace some teeth that have either been pulled or need to be pulled. So Doc, how about you explain a little bit of why we would suggest this for somebody, and maybe go into the general pricing for it as well.
This is very common. I would say at least once a day, sometimes numerous times a day, somebody will come in with this particular problem. They've got missing teeth, and they've seen on television, or they've seen their husband or wife or grandfather, somebody's got something in there, and they ask me what they need. So this is a removable partial denture, and we call it an RPD. And what it is, removable, you can take it in and out. Partial, it's not a complete, which what we're going to show you here in a few minutes, but in a denture. Anything that replaces teeth is called a denture by definition. So the technology used to do this has been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. I used to know all the history on it, but I believe it was first. They've seen some bodies that they've archived, and they found from 5,000 years ago, I think, some dental restorative removable partial dentures 5,000 years ago. And of course, remember George Washington had the wooden teeth, so we've talked about that a few times too. But this is kind of the lower end as far as the pricing goes, and I kind of tease, but I call this a wooden leg sometimes, just because the technology involved in this is not all that great. It's been around a long time. What we do is take an impression of your mouth, upper and lower. Even if we're doing the lower, we have to take upper and lower. Take an impression, and then we do a couple of measurements on your teeth, make sure we get the right shade, make sure that you can function with it, and then we send it to a lab. The lab, anywhere from a week or 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks to get it back. The pricing on something like this is called this is a cast frame. This is a little nicer than some. Cast frame denture, roughly you're talking about $1,000 to get that. If you go with all acrylic, sometimes you're looking at about $600 or $700 to do an all acrylic. And why would we choose all acrylic over cast frame? Well, sometimes you want the stability. This is a little bit nicer. You want the stability of the metal. You can keep it a little smaller, but also it's just a little more rigid. You can probably double the amount of time that you're going to get out of this. Generally speaking, I don't do something unless I think I'm going to get 10 years out of it. Something like this, and if you take care of it and come to the dentist regularly, you can get more than that. Okay,
and so that's the removable partial denture. So you said for the metal, it's about $1,000. If we did an all acrylic, about roughly $600.
$600.
And Doc was saying we do an impression of the upper and the lower in order to get these made. Also, you may have seen our spot with our digital scanning technology, and with the removable partial dentures, we're actually able to scan a lot of our cases for those as well. So it doesn't require the impressions. We can scan the upper and the lower and send those to the lab, and that speeds up our process just a little bit.
And I've been very impressed with our scanning techniques. The new technology that we have, I believe we demonstrated it a couple, 3 months ago, but it's pretty amazing. We had a 5-unit fixed partial denture, which we call a bridge. We did a 5 or 6 unit today. Didn't have to touch it, which took the scan, and from that we send it to Louisville via email. The scan will actually get there before the patient leaves, and that we seeded one of those today. It was pretty amazing. Didn't have to touch it.
So now the next step up would be what most of you are probably familiar with, would be a full denture. This happens to be an upper. We do uppers and lowers. So Doc, why don't you explain the main reason for a patient to get one of these and some rough pricing? We have patients who come in and, you know, they want dentures and they'll throw out a number like, I don't have $200, or they'll throw out a number like, I don't have $10,000 for dentures. You know, why don't we let folks know just what we would use it for, and, you know, a reasonable, what the pricing might be close to.
Yeah. Yes, there again, this is very common too. We have a lot of people that come in and think they need a full denture, and they really don't. They can actually save most of their teeth, or some of them, if they put a little time and effort and money into it in order to do it. Some people come in and they say, "Hey, I'm tired. My teeth, they hurt. I'm not getting the aesthetics that I want to. It doesn't look, my teeth kind of look funny," and they want a full plate. But most of the time, that's not in their best interest. If they have teeth in there, it's a good idea to try to hang on to them, and we can do that. Now, if you're adamant about it and you say, "No, I want the denture," we'll work with you. We can do it. But I'm kind of getting off the subject. However, this would be a patient that comes in that's completely edentulous, no teeth at all, and we're going to make them a denture. So essentially the same kind of technique. We don't use the scanner for this. The technology is not quite there, but it's coming. I think they said in the next few months they might have it. But we take an alginate impression. We take a models. If we can't get it right on that first time, then we take a secondary impression, and then we bring you back for a wax bite in order to get the bite right. Send it to a lab. The lab will do a wax up so that all the teeth are in there in wax. Then we do an additional try-in. Then if that looks good and the bite is correct, then we send it off for the final, and then we'll seat it. That's why it takes a little bit longer. We're trying to minimize the steps that you have to come in here, and the scanner is going to help with that. Cost. An upper and lower denture, ballpark figures are probably looking at about $1,100-$1,200 to do something like that. Some dentists charge more, some less. It all depends on the materials you use, and just like anything else, what would go into your fee.
Right. And so a lot of people are familiar with that, and we have a lot of people that have been coming in lately and asking about implants. You know, there's a ton of commercials on TV about implants this and implants that, and they tend to miss the part at the end where they ask, you know, they tell you that there's financing options available. So what we have here is an implant, and, you know, Dr. Isaacs we can set people up and get them situated with implants. So Doc, why don't you explain exactly what's different with the implant from just a plain denture, and then maybe some of the general pricing on this.
This is a model of an implant. Well, let me just kind of step back. What Scott was talking about. Yes, I would say daily we have somebody come in and they want, they've seen it on television, they want implants, and they're probably thinking they come in for a couple $100, get an implant put in there. Just doesn't work like that. Implants, the technology is there, and 25 years ago, 30 years ago when I was starting out, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't tell somebody that they needed an implant. However, now they are, the success rate is excellent with these things. So yes, I do recommend them, and I'm convinced that this is the way to go. The cost of an implant is quite a bit more than the other two techniques that we just showed you. Now this happens to be a mini implant, which these things are a little less expensive to do. They can be done in office, here in my office in Springfield, and you take an edentulous patient, no teeth at all, you make them a denture, and if that doesn't work and they can't function with it, then we'll drop in 4 of these mini implants into their lower jaw. They're self-tapping, so we do actually screw them into the jaw, and that scares a lot of people, and I think it's very painful. But the amount of discomfort that you have with this is minimal. I'd say it's less than getting a tooth taken out. I would certainly say that, or really less than having a regular filling. Sometimes we use the same anesthetic. Nothing magical about it, other than they do work. And I'm convinced this is a good technique. Now, these are the minis. if your jaw is not strong enough or you don't have enough bone, then we send you to an oral surgeon. And there's oral surgeons. There's in Danville. There's oral surgeons in Bardstown that we use. Louisville, Lexington. So we use many of those.
Now, once we put those implants into the bone, how does that then interact with the denture that we've made?
Well, the same day, what we would do is we would make your existing denture. We would retrofit your existing denture to make it fit the implants that we just put in there. And we have these. These are like a ball and socket. We have these implants have a little ball on it. We'd make a female socket, and it snaps in there, and you kind of hear it snap, and they stay in there. They do well. And the technique that I'm telling you about, the conventional implants that the surgeons do, there are some general dentists that do that, but for the most part in this area, the surgeons put them in. They're a little bit better. They're a little stronger, and if you don't have the bone to withstand that, then we can use that. And I only put the minis in anymore for a full denture. I've done a couple of cases with a single tooth implant. They don't work very well, so I quit doing that. So a single tooth implant, I still send them to the oral surgeon.
And you could see on the bottom of the denture the sockets that would receive those implants that Doc would install into the jawbone. Now, so now that we know that difference, roughly you said it would, it's pricier. Ballpark, what would something with the minis be? With
the minis, you're looking at probably $2,500. If I put four implants in it and retrofit an existing denture in there, your ballpark's about $2,500, depending on how much bone we have to take away. If we have to do a lot of bone, but that's what we do. How long will the procedure last? It's probably going to take me. That I usually do them on Friday mornings, and we start early, start 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll be out here by noon. So because we shut down at 12, I've got to get out here too. So
okay, and if they don't have an existing denture, and we're going to do the implants, make the denture and everything, $2,500 goes to approximately, because I know each case is different.
Sure, you probably have to add another $700 or $800 on that. So yeah. So you're looking at about $3,300 if you didn't have it. However, the technique I use, first I would make you a conventional denture, and if that doesn't do, then I would, because I've done it. I've had people say that they want the minis. Oh yeah, I want them, but after we make the denture, they're okay. They don't need them.
So it's always a good idea to start with the regular denture, and then if we're having issues or the patient's having trouble, then you can always step them up, kind of progress. Start with the least invasive, progress to the most invasive.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Now you were talking. That's with the mini implants. Now the other implants. Let's talk about the what we've seen on television, because we've all seen that. And I get a lot of questions about the guy that's playing golf and he says I came in and got my teeth in one day and that's the way to go. That can be done. I've taken several classes on that recently. One with Dr. Beto over in Danville, who does a wonderful job, and he is doing these techniques. It's called an all-on-4 technique. That means you're taking all the teeth on 4 dentures. 4 implants, the whole denture. And you don't have to make it as big as this. You can cut it down so it's not as bulky. And the all-on-4 is he's using a screw-retained denture that he's screwing into the implants. The implants are in the jawbone, and then the same day he will take a denture and he'll screw the denture in there. Now, he can do that in one day, but there is some there's a workup that's probably going to take about a good month in order to get everything fixed in there. So that happens there. Now, how much does that cost? Whenever they're talking about the financing, I kind of make a joke about that. Anytime they're talking about financing, you better watch out. But you're probably talking about, if you had to do upper and lower, I'd say upwards to $50,000 in order to do something like that. It's primo work. One arch, sometimes they tell you $25,000 for an arch. Now, the surgeons around here, I don't know exactly what they're talking, but those are the courses that I took. I just took a course in Atlanta. I'm sorry, I was down in Florida. I was down in Amelia Island down in Florida and took a course. And the fellow was from Atlanta, And he says in the Atlanta area he's doing about $75,000 for upper and lower implants, all in four. Pretty pricey around here. I've never done a case like that, so I don't really anticipate doing that. But it is available if you need to. If somebody came to me and wanted it done, I'd call one of the surgeons around here and have set up a consult.
Right. So if they were really heart set on doing something that advanced, the nice thing is here at Dr. Isaac's office, he'd be able to evaluate you, tell you what the opportunities are, because depending on how your bone mass looks and things like that, that could disqualify you. But if you're qualified and still want to go, the nice thing is Dr. Isaacs has the knowledge base to send you to a qualified surgeon who does that type of work that's not that far away.
And as always, I'll give a free consult for that. I'll take an X-ray too and just give it to you so that I can look at it and see if you qualify. Because it's kind of fun for me too. I kind of like doing it. A lot of times. Some of the stuff gets kind of mundane, so I like this new technology that we're getting. So just to look at it and take it. And when I took the course down there, I knew I was getting to something I probably wouldn't do, but I just kind of wanted to have the knowledge because it was fun. And it was down in Florida too.
Well, can't go wrong if you're going to Florida.